Another quick question I'll answer is about Citgo, about if buying Citgo gas helps Venezuela. No. Unfortunately, the reality is that Citgo was stolen by the United States at the beginning of the coup attempt with Juan Guaido in February 2019. Now, Citgo, to explain really quickly here, Citgo is the oil refinery arm of Venezuela in the United States. Based, it was in Texas. And the United States, at the beginning of the coup attempt with Juan Guaido, when Washington and its allies recognized Juan Guaido as the unelected fake president of Venezuela, despite him never winning a vote in a presidential election ever. And when they did that, the US also and European countries seized Venezuelan property in blatant theft. I mean, there's nothing diplomatic about it. The Bank of England stole over $1 billion worth of Venezuelan gold, of physical gold. They just stole the gold because Venezuela had held that gold in the Bank of England. The US also stole Venezuelan assets. Other European countries, including Portugal, has stolen over $1 billion of Venezuelan assets. I mean, massive theft. Japan as well. And in the United States, they seized Citgo and then handed that to Juan Guaido's extremely corrupt gang. And by the way, the Juan Guaido gang, as my colleague Anya Parmpel has reported, they've been basically helping U.S. energy corporations like ExxonMobil and Chevron try to privatize Citgo. Basically, what they were doing is that there were a bunch of cases against Citgo because Hugo Chavez, when he was Venezuelan president, he kicked out all of the U.S. and other foreign oil corporations, and he nationalized the oil and made it controlled by the state oil company PDVSA. So there were a lot of companies, including U.S. and Canadian companies, including a Canadian mining company, that they had legal cases against Venezuela. And when Juan Guaido was recognized as fake president, the U.S. allowed those companies to sue the government of Venezuela, which is run supposedly by Juan Guaido in scare quotes. So those corporations sued Juan Guaido's fake government for billions of dollars in damages that were taken by Chavez. And we reported the Grayzone, my colleague Anya Parmpel exposed that Juan Guaido's own advisors and so-called staff were helping those corporations in their cases against Venezuelan state assets. So they were basically helping cannibalize the fictitious government that they run because the U.S. seized all Venezuela's U.S.-based assets and gave them to Juan Guaido, including Citgo. So, I mean, we're talking about these people are such traitors. Not only is Juan Guaido and his coup gang working with the U.S. government to try to orchestrate a coup, to try to launch a military invasion, which is what they tried in the so-called Bay of Piglets or Operation Gideon in 2020, when they unsuccessfully invaded the country and tried to kill Maduro. But they're also actively selling out their own country. They're literally trying to sell their own government assets and then, of course, pocket the money. And we know that Carlos Vecchio, who is the fake U.S. ambassador from Juan Guaido's fake coup regime, he himself, who, by the way, was a lawyer for ExxonMobil before he worked with ExxonMobil and Chevron and these U.S. oil corporations. He's now also once again working on their behalf by trying to help privatize Citgo. I mean, it's so cynical. And in Spanish, there's an insult people use on the left usually. They'll call right-wingers vende patrias, which means it literally translates to selling your homeland. And they are textbook examples, Juan Guaido and his gang. They are selling their country out literally and enriching themselves in the process. So finally, to answer your question, and this is a great question to end on,